traditionally have represented achieve the sorts of reforms that we aspire to achieve and live up to Labor values, you can't have the disunity and destabilisation. And as Tanya Plibersek was saying earlier, that has got to be a critical takeout from this election for the Labor Party and everyone who supports it. And we've made some huge achievements, I think, for the community that have been overshadowed
like that. We'll come back to you because you're here with us for a while. So's Mitch. We'll speak to you both shortly.
Okay, with 52% of the vote counted across the nation, it's worth a look to see how that vote is playing out and how it breaks down. And in two-party preferred terms, and this number is shifting slightly as the night goes on. Labor now is up slightly to 47.2% of the two-party preferred vote. The coalition's vote has dropped back slightly to 52.8%, which is a swing just a little bit over 3% to the coalition. And to make some better sense of that, in slightly more micro, we're going to go to Joe O'Brien.
Thanks for that, Kerry. So Australia has a new coalition government. Stephen Smith confirmed that at the outset of our broadcast this evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, even before the vote count had started. What's been interesting over the last couple of hours is the extent of the Labor loss or the coalition gain. Labor is down 13 seats. These are seats that we're allocating definitely at this stage, that there is a clear result. Labor down 13 at this stage. The interesting thing with that is that at this stage we're saying no losses at all in Queensland, but a swag of seats in New South Wales. Not as big as a disaster as was expected in New South Wales, but those 3 seats lost in Victoria, Corangamite, Latrobe and Deakin, and also 3 of the seats in Tasmania. The Greens sitting at 1, that's varied through the night. It's been 0 and 1, so we're not sure of that seat of Melbourne with Adam Band at this stage. Andrew Wilkie is one of the others definitely up right now. So how's that looking in terms of the primary vote? Labor is sitting on 33.4, the coalition on 45.3. The Greens on 8.8 and others at 12.5. How does that compare with the 2010 election? We'll see that the Labor vote is down about 4.5% at this stage. The Coalition vote up 1.6. The Greens down 2.9 and the others up 5.9 at this stage. So how does that look then on the Coalition benches? As I mentioned before at the beginning, we're saying that the Coalition is at 78 seats now, so well over that, or just over that mark of 76, and we can see the Greens, Adam Bant, sitting there down the end. You might just be able to make him out. On the other side of the House, it's not so good for Labor at this stage, 52. And the 96 result was about the 50 mark. So with still several seats, dozens of seats still to be decided according to the ABC computer, it's looking like the ABC result, the ALP result at the end of the night will be better than that 96 result. So let's have a look at how it might turn out at the end of the night. This is our prediction. We're saying the ALP could probably end up with 59, the LNP on 87. The Greens' Adam Bant should pick up his seat, and 3 others at this stage, including Andrew Wilkie. Now we're going to take a look at a few of the seats that the panel may not have had a chance to look at. First of all, Kingsford Smith. This is Peter Garrett's old seat in the south of Sydney. This was held with there's a swing to the Libs there of 1.8%. We're saying at this stage, obviously, that is an ALP retain, though. That's 61% of the vote counted. Matt Thistlethwaite should be the new member for Kingsford Smith. Now we're going to head down to Victoria and have a look at the 2 seats formerly held by Nicola Roxon and the Prime Minister Julia Gillard. So Gellibrand first off, 48% of the vote counted there. Tim Watts, the Labor candidate, should succeed Nicola Roxon. A swing to the coalition of 8.2%, but not enough to make that a coalition seat. So Tim Watts, the seat there. Now to the Prime Minister's seat of Lawler in Melbourne's West. The significant swing to the coalition once again there of 9.2%, but Joanne Ryan, the teacher brought in to replace Julia Gillard, will be the new member for Lawler. That's it from me for the moment. With summaries, I'll be back over the next couple of hours to keep you up to date, but for now it is back to Kerry in the election centre.
And to take a look at some other aspects of the trends that are happening around the country, Anthony Green is going to take us through the seats of Western Sydney, where a lot of action was expected. In fact, more action was expected than seems to have happened. We're also going to look at Queensland.
Right, well, first off, we'll look at Western Sydney there. You see this pattern, which is pretty normal in Sydney, that band of red running from Penrith through to the coast there. If I map in the seats which are changing, at this stage I've got Robertson on the Central Coast, Reid and Banks, which have fallen to the Liberals for the first time, and Lindsay. That's all that's changing at this stage. If I do the overall prediction, again, there's the only 3 seats there that change. But let's look at some of the swings there. David Bradbury's been defeated. He only held it by 1.1 and the swing's 2.8%, and he's been defeated. In Greenway, the other 1% seat, the swing is 3% to the Labor Party. So clearly the candidate factor there for Liberal Party in James Diaz has caused them a problem, and that swing has gone the other way. So Labor has held their most marginal seat in Western Sydney. However, Reid, 3.5%, that has fallen to the, at this stage, that's probably fallen to the Liberal Party. A lot more votes to be counted there, but that's that's probably another defeat. And Daryl Mellum, let me go to Daryl Mellum there. No, Daryl Mellum. Doesn't want to give me Daryl Mellum. Daryl Mellum, 3.6%. He's at this stage, we've got him down as defeated, and David Coleman would be the new Liberal member. Now, I'll do McMahon in a moment, in full, but first I'll have a look at what's going on in Queensland. And up in Queensland, what I'll do first is look at the state votes, which is this figure here. That's the national figure. Let's go to Queensland. What's significant in Queensland? 31% for Labor, 44% for the Liberal Nationals. So the Liberal National vote is down. The Green vote is well down in Queensland. Katter's Australian Party, that's up from Bob Katter's vote in his own seat overall, but 11.3% for Palmer United Party, and that's a very significant trend. But if I have a look at I didn't want the chamber. I wanted the map, which means going here, and then I hit that. And there's Queensland. You see any changing seats? No changing seats in Queensland. And that's the key story we're seeing in Queensland tonight. I can come into Brisbane a bit closer, and you're seeing this Palmer United Party is still a chance of winning. That's Fairfax there. Fairfax. We think there's a big swing, and Alex Somley may have been succeeded by Clive Palmer, not Ted O'Brien. But all those other marginal seats, and I'll see if I can get... There we go. Lily? No, doesn't want to do Lily. I can't hold a Lily either. There we go. No, I can't bring Lily up. I've had this whole problem. If everyone said Wayne Swan wouldn't hold Lily, well, he seems to have, but I can't bring it up for you. So, over to you.
OK, well, we're going to take a look at the seat of McMahon also in the western suburbs of Sydney, because this is a seat held by the Labor Treasurer, Chris Bowen. Chris Bowen is one of the figures of Labor's future, and there was a lot of concern in Labor ranks that he too could lose his seat, even though he's on a margin of 7.8%. So with 60% of the vote counted, Anthony.
And what we're seeing in McMahon is that Chris Bowen up against Ray King. Chris Bowen leads on first preferences 49.9 to 41.1. You don't lose from that sort of position. We've got 33 of the 42 booths. We've got a preference count in 30 of those 42, and the swing is 3.6, which is only half of what was needed for the Liberal Party to gain that seat. So Chris Bowen has been re-elected in his seat of McMahon.
And we're joined now by Chris Bowen, coming to us from the seat of McMahon. Congratulations, firstly, Treasurer, on retaining your seat. How nervous were you?
Well, thanks, Annabelle. Well, it was always going to be tight. It was always going to be tough. We knew we had a fight on our hands. But I do want to say a big thank you, most of all, to the people of McMahon. It's a great honour, has been for 9 years, to represent the area I grew up in, and bringing up a family in federal parliament, and the people of McMahon have reconfirmed that today. So my overwhelming message, my overwhelming feeling is to say to the people of my community, thank you, and I won't let you down.
But it's not a happy story all the way across New South Wales, or indeed across the country, for Labor, and you've lost several colleagues in New South Wales: Banks, Lindsay, Reid, Robertson, all gone, all up across Australia. It's a pretty pronounced defeat for the Rudd government. To what do you attribute that loss?
Well, firstly, let me say we've lost some very good MPs, as you say: David Bradbury, Deb O'Neill, Daryl Mellum, John Murphy.